live stream and then pass this window because we've never tried to just check out it and we don't know if the live stream can do it.
Well, we're waiting for technology.
Yeah, so, good morning, everyone. I don't know if everybody got a chance to meet Joanne, we did, if you could go around, just introduce ourselves, and Joanne, you can tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Joanne, I'm the new executive director of Natural Lewis. My brain's very tired because those ladies have been doing such a wonderful job teaching me everything that I need to know. So if I give you a blank stare, it's because I'm learning. So thanks for your patience and thanks for having me.
Welcome, Joanne. I'm Darlene Robson. I live in Copenhagen. Been on the board for almost 6 years. More than three. There you go. Yeah, and retired tech director at Copenhagen, and I know her for.
I think we worked together one time when I was at Westmont with that Angel Web or something.
Yes, I knew when I heard that
Yes.
name.
Well, welcome.
Hi, Joanne.
How are you?
Candace Randall, the attorneys for the IBM.
Jerry Hamlin, I'm a large commercial industrial accounting actor for National Grid.
Got it, thank you, I'm a private wealth management advisor at Northwest Mutual.
Jessica Mosher, nice to meet you. I am on the Lewis County Board of Legislators. I'm Pennsylvania. I'm on here at the Square.
Okay, are we all set technology wise?
So for all the new board members and Joanne, I'm Liz Bush. I'm audit partner with Bowers and Company, and this is Janelle Tupper. She's the audit manager on the audit. Are you ready for the presentation then?
Yeah.
Yes, and Liz and Janelle, Trish is on.
Okay.
She's also on Zoom, so we do have her in the room.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to share my screen now. Oh, I think you need to give me permission to share.
So right, but just doesn't
Choose the bottom. No, like,
the bottom line, yeah, so click on this.
and then the arrow next to share. Yep. Data sharing. And then. Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Can everyone see the report on the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. We're off to a good start. So I'm going to go through the draft audited financial statements. They are ready to finalize, just pending the approval of the board and the legal letter returned. So I will scroll down through, and the first report is the independent auditor's report. I try to make this bigger. And here in the second paragraph, we will be issuing a clean, unmodified opinion on the financial statements. And what that means is they're fairly presented in all material respects in accordance with generally accepted accounting standards. And we, excuse me. Thank you. The basis for our opinion is we conducted our audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards. Government auditing standards are required by the New York State Authority Budget Office. Further down the page, onto the next page, on page 2, we have the responsibilities of management for the financial statements. And management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of these statements. In conjunction with that, management's also responsible for having a system of internal control in place to make sure that these financial statements are fairly presented. Our responsibility, consists of many items throughout the audit. One of the main things is that we need to provide reasonable assurance, which is a high level of assurance that the statements are fairly presented. We also, throughout the audit, while conducting procedures, we also identify and assess the risks of material misstatements in the financial statements. We have to obtain an understanding of the internal controls in place, and then we evaluate the accounting policies used by the IDA and the reasonableness of any significant estimates. And over on the next page, we also evaluate whether we believe the entity is able to continue as a going concern, which we have not had any issues with that throughout the audit. We do have required supplementary information, and what that is the management's discussion and analysis. And that we provide the template for that, and then management fills in all of the information which has been done. And since you're a government entity, you are required to have that management's discussion and analysis. And as I said earlier, we report on government auditing standards. You're going to see one more report in the back of the financial statements in relation to government auditing standards. So we're going to turn over to page 13. Let's scroll a little faster down through there. And over on page 13, we have the actual statement of net position. And here it's your balance sheet. So for the year, you ended the year at May 31, 2025 at 4.6 million. That's your total assets. And that was really very comparable to the previous year. You were about 4,682,000, so very close, only a minor 1% decrease. What your assets consist of are your cash and cash equivalents of about 1.8 million. Last year, that number was about 3.2. However, this year, the entity did invest in some certificates of deposit, so we'll see 1.5 million down here. So overall, between that current cash and the CDs, it's about 3.3 million this year. You do have a variety of different receivables, the loan receivables. The related party receivable is the amount due from Naturally Lewis, and then the other receivable is for the administration fees, and you'll see a note on all of those receivables throughout the financial statements. Further down below, we have the net position. You did not have any liabilities, so your net position is $4,626,000, and that's equals your assets. And the good news is most of your net position is unrestricted. There is a small amount restricted for $98,000, and that's the RBEG money in the USDA loan program that's in a separate bank account. And your net investment in capital assets is any assets that you have on the books, and there's a note on the capital assets in the statements. Over on the next page, we have your statement of revenue, expenses, and changes in net position. So for the year, you had total operating revenues of about $38,000 this year. Last year it was higher, it was about $102,000. The reason being for the change is that there was a CDBG grant last year, so you had about $77,000 in the CDBG grant and corresponding expenses. Further down the page, we have total operating expenses of about $65,000 this year. That decreased significantly from last year of about $600,000. Last year, we had the administrative fee of about $295,000 last year compared to the $27,000 this year for shared services to Naturally Lewis. And then there was some payroll in the last year, because remember last year was the transition year when you were going from payroll and related expenses in the IDA, and that moved over to Naturally Lewis. And then further down the page, we have non-operating revenues and expenses. We did have a loss on disposal of a capital asset. And what that is there was some money that had accumulated over the years for a business park, which it was development costs basically throughout the years, and it was decided not to pursue that, so we expensed those out in the current year. There was also money transferred over to Lewis County Development Corporation, and what that was for was a microloan program. And that was offset by about $125,000 in interest revenue this year. So leaving you with a change in net position of a minus $56,000. That interest revenue has increased this year because for two things, you moved money over to New York Class, which you get a higher interest rate, and then the money moved over to CDs. So that brings you right back down to that 4.6 million at the end of the year. Over on the next page, you are required to have a statement of cash flows because you're a proprietary fund. So net cash used in operating activities was about 68,000. And then there was about 1.6 million used in capital and financing activities. And what that was there was 1.5 million invested in CDs. And also there was the purchase of the building out in the town of Diana in Harrisville. And then there was also money transferred over to the Lewis County Development Corporation for the microloan. Did have interest earned of about 100,000. So that corresponds to why there's a decrease in cash of about 1.4 million. Again, what it is, it's shifting from short-term cash and cash equivalents over to CDs. The CDs mature in a period of greater than 90 days, so that's not considered a cash and cash equivalent. Then we start the notes to the financial statement. So the first couple of pages, the notes have not changed significantly from prior years. There weren't any new accounting standards this year. So we'll go over to page 18. And here we have a note on the investment pool with New York Class. And at the end of the year, the money that was held with New York Class was just under 1.4 million. And then this year, of course, we added a note with the CDs. The CDs are 1.5 million. There's two different CDs, and you can see the corresponding interest rates. And further along over on page 21, I'll move over to that page. And here we are required to disclose whether or not your cash is insured by the FDIC, and if there's some balances over that limit, if whether or not your money is collateralized or uncollateralized. So all of the money at the various institutions are collateralized. Over on the next page, on page 22, we have the note for the capital assets, and here you can see the increase, and this is for the purchase of the building located in Harrisville. And then the decrease is to expense out that money, that those pre-development type costs that have been accumulating in there into an expense account for the year as a loss. Over on the next page, we have a note, excuse me, on note 5, we have loans and loans receivable, and these are the various loans. They're consisting of loans with Black River Valley Natural, Snow Ridge. There are a couple of those loans, and then of course loans with also backyardigans. So the loans here are about $452,000. We have some more notes in a minute. You'll see more details on this. There is an allowance for. Go ahead.
Can I interrupt for a second, Liz? Just for clarification for the live stream, those are not loans of IDA money, those are installment sales.
Okay.
They purchase something using their tax exempt status and is selling them back or leasing them back over time to the applicant. So while they're called loans by the audit, they're by IDA and New York State standards, they are not loans.
Well, I mean, would you prefer us to refer to them as installment receivables then?
Yes, very much so.
Okay. Okay, so the language that you'd like to see is installment.
Yeah. And sale leaseback, they're called a variety of things. I wasn't aware we could change the language there.
We could change the language. Yes, I mean, oftentimes they're referred to just, as loans receivable, but we could refer to them as you know, installment loan receivables or whatever, we could change the title.
Yeah, I mean, installment isn't gonna help much, it's loan as a trigger word for.
Okay, so installment sale receivables or, I
Yeah,
mean, we can,
yeah, please.
okay. All right. So we can change and and over, a couple of years ago, there were some other types of receivables in there. And I think that's what, oftentimes we'll see some of the entities just use the phrase loans receivable, but we could change that because they're still in draft form. So, and there is an allowance for credit losses, which entities are, this is formerly used to be called allowance for doubtful accounts. And entities are required to assess this and whether or not, you think you might have any reasons to believe you need an allowance for a credit loss, which there's a systematic approach here at the IDA of how you come up with that. And that's been in place for several years. So over on the next page, you'll see the actual loan installment sale receivables and what the maturity dates are. So that goes out 5 years and then it continues on right through, I believe, 2035. And then here's some more information on credit quality information that, refers to the different grades of internally assigned by the IDA, satisfactory, watch, or substandard. And then over here on the next page, that you'll see the management has assessed most of these installment sale receivables are satisfactory or in the watch, so you don't have anything in the substandard category. And then further down below here, you can see most of the receivable is current, and there are some amounts, some minor amounts that are that are in the past due phase. And then down below here, we have the information that shows how the credit loss is calculated. It was at 41,000 in the previous year. Now it's up to 45,000 based on internal calculations. Over on the next page, we do have an other receivable, and what this is, this has been in place since about 2021. What this was a pilot agreement that was entered into about several years ago, and then there was an administrative fee to be paid over 5 years. And as you can see here, there's about 400,000 that's left, and you'll be receiving the 202,000 over the next 2 years. Over on the next page, we have a note on the restricted net position. And again, this is the money that's sitting in the cash account for the USDA RBEG revolving loan fund that the organization has in a bank account. So we restricted that and restricted the net position as well. We also included a note this year on related party transactions. Just move my screen here. And here we have a note on the shared service agreement with Naturally Lewis, and we briefly describe the detail of what the amount that's owed back to the IDA. That amount is about $316,000. And then that's going to be paid over about 10 years at about roughly $37,000 a year. There is a renewed service agreement this year in the amount of $275,000 approximately. And then we also disclosed that there was a transfer of assets restricted for the microloan program in the form of cash and receivables over to LCDC. The final report in the set of financial statements, it's the independent auditor's report on internal control over financial reporting and compliance. And this is in accordance with government auditing standards. The New York State Authority Budget Office does require a report in accordance with government auditing standards. So here's an opportunity to report on any significant deficiencies or material weakness or material compliance issues. pleased to report that we did not have any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses or material noncompliance. And this is not an opinion report, it's just an opportunity here to disclose such matters if they're present. And that report continues on 2 pages. So I'm going to share another report right now. And let me see if I can share that. Bear with me, I have to get back to my screen.
Did you want me to share some, Liz?
Yes, Janelle, can you share it? Because I'm having trouble sharing it from my screen.
Yeah.
That would be appreciated, thanks.
Okay.
Can you share it?
Okay, can
Great.
everyone? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
I can go over this one first. This is fine.
It just grabbed the wrong screen.
It's always tricky trying to grab the right screen.
Can you see the report?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So here is the communication letter that we're required to provide to management and the board. And here what we disclose if there's any new accounting policies that were adopted or accounting standards that had to be applied and there weren't in the current year. And then further down, we do discuss any accounting estimates, which continues on to the next page. And here, the most significant estimates are the useful lives of your capital assets, and then this allowance for credit loss, because it has all of the credit quality information. So that's another significant estimate that we evaluate. We didn't have any difficulties in performing the audit or disagreements with management. Disagreements usually consist of when there's a new application of an accounting policy or an estimate, and there's, disagreements on how that should be applied. We did not have any such disagreements on that. We do also I'll provide the material adjusting entries, which we're going to see on the last page of the report. So right here, there are a few more adjusting entries, but these were the material ones that we had to provide this year and record in the financial statements. So not many journal entries, but there were some for to reclassify the purchase of the building and the loss on the old development costs for the park. And then there was some reclassifications in the net position, and then to reallocate the balance due from the Naturally Lewis organization. So that's the communication letter. And we also have a management letter. And here we have a couple of recommendations just based on the audit, and that for segregation of duties, we did, note that you have the related party receivable, with Naturally Lewis, and there, obviously with the comptroller's report, there was concern with the incorrect calculation. So and then there's multiple journal entries that we have to propose each year. So we're recommending that you'd probably benefit from having an external accounting firm or maybe a bookkeeper to increase those segregation of duties, and have another set of eyes on the review of the financial and budget reporting. And then, to assist the board when you have transactions that need to be reviewed, and that would address internal control matters as well and provide more of a segregation of duties. When we were reviewing the responses from the IT questionnaire, there are some items in there that we identified as, potential weaknesses with security scans and VPN and password. So we're just recommending to develop an internal procedure and in place and adopt a policy to address the IT concerns. The last item, I believe this one was in here last year, was with the extension of payment periods for one of the installment agreements that it was agreed upon by both parties and agreed upon by the board, but we didn't see new documentation in the actual agreement. So any kind of modifications like that should be in writing for the extension of terms or any change in terms. That's the last report, so we can stop sharing. Can you stop sharing, Janelle? Do you have that keep? Okay, great. Do you have control back of the screens now?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Questions?
No.
So this is like. The key meeting for if we have questions on oversight of the IDA's financials, like let's get them on the table, please.
I just took notes to be able to discuss it with our board. That's all.
I like the recommendation of using an outside accounting firm.
Which we do, we have an outside accounting firm, could we use some more, sure.
Yeah, I just think, what do you, and then. Let's count go be your lab to kind of takes that off. Our plate.
Who's the outside accounting firm?
Northern Wisconsin is.
So the suggestion of more oversight is fine. Can't hurt, but just for clarity, it wouldn't have done anything different. If it was for what the issue that happened. That's not, nobody would have caught that, an audit would have caught that, so an audit caught that. And corrected it, right? So an outside firm wouldn't have said that this is the wrong formula because there wasn't a creative. So just saying oversight, but I like the idea that it's somebody else looking at it, but this wouldn't have been corrected by that. Am I correct in that?
Right, that was more of a. Not to put it too lightly, but that was the opinion of New York State versus the opinion of two entities that agreed to
Correct,
something.
yeah, right. So I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, in almost in not.
Well, no, that's the point of it.
Yeah, like, they-
I'm glad they do.
So that was the audit, that was all the operations versus this is a financial audit, so this is where we're really getting into the finance of the IPA. And we got a clean audit.
Right,
There's
yeah.
always gonna be recommendations and that's great, we'll do better, we're always looking to do better, but this is the deep dive into the finances and it's clean.
If you don't mind, so part of the reason for that recommendation is because now you have an agreement between Naturally Lewis and the IDA. They are related parties. So if Naturally Lewis is going to benefit from these agreements, which by the nature they do, it just creates that assurance level and a second set of eyes. Therefore, the public perception of it, if anything ever happens, is that the IDA does have a separate party reviewing this report, these contracts before they are approved, in order to kind of increase that layer of, hey, this is a related party transaction. So we took this extra step to ensure that, the information being presented, because their management is your management, is accurate for the board approval. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
I also think, yes, it's always good to have that extra layer, but New York State, I thought, said not additional layers of oversight. I thought they were applying more stronger oversight from this board. So I think it's good to have external accounting firms just for that extra layer, but I don't know that we were looking for extra layers of accountability. It was more, or oversight. It was more this board to have more oversight over what is going on, not the additional outside agencies, I think.
How, like, what would change? Like, what would we do differently?
Well, that's what we're gonna be talking about tomorrow. But I think the idea is that we have more hands-on control of what's going on within the IDA. But that's,
Yeah, like, it's, you're gonna have to outline steps, right, like as to what, and I'm just asking, I'm not
Right.
debating that it should happen or not, but you're gonna have to outline some steps that. Either we should take differently in the future, or we could take differently, and, yeah, I guess I will wait and see what that is,
Yeah.
right, I don't know. You guys are gonna have to figure that out, but from my point of view. It's going to be very difficult to come up with steps. I'm just saying, I don't know, maybe there's bright people that'll be ideas, but yeah, I'm definitely open to that, but I just don't know, I can't figure out what that would look like, right? Like, so I guess we'll wait and see.
For the purposes of the financial audit. Is Liz still on, Liz
Yes,
knows
I'm right here.
more approval from Candace, but what are our next steps for this board?
For the approval of the, pardon?
Can we approve the draft?
Yeah, you can approve the draft. I just want to add one thing on that segregation of duty comment. Just within the organization, this whole process would be twofold with having additional oversight, is that it maybe would reduce some of the adjusting entries that we have during the audit. And then the oversight would be when the organization, the IDA, believes that their books are ready for audit, that maybe the accounting firm or the bookkeeper can look at this and just check those adjustments and make sure that they have everything in place before it goes to audit. That would be, more of an in-house over, another set of eyes. Since you do have that local firm in place, assisting with things. And as far as the process for the board, for the approval of the financials, you would approve draft financials. We would make those, the change with the installment sale receivable, and then we would get the representation letter over to you, have you sign it, and then they would be ready for you to issue, along with your Paris report that's required.
I have a quick question just for clarification. The recommendation of the outside auditing agency or outside. I'm not sure the exact term, bookkeeping, is the recommendation that it is reviewing monthly financials or reviewing like in a holistic year? I'm trying to understand, like, is it oversight over each month's financials or it's a recommendation?
It depends on I have some clients that they have an oversight on a monthly basis, could be quarterly basis. What it's trying to do is make sure that your internal reports that you're seeing more closely mirror of what you're presented at the end of the year. The less audit adjustments you have at the end of the year means that the monthly or semi-monthly reports you're seeing more accurately reflect what you're seeing during an audit. The more journal entries we provide, it means that, accounts are being moved and transfers are made. So do you see what I mean? So then it kind of bridges that gap. So it's really a personal preference how often. And you do have the local firm
Go ahead.
some transactions now, so.
To me, I think the suggestion is based on the fact that before it goes to audit, somebody can look it over, and I think maybe a quarterly thing or a semi-annually, just to match everything up, it's probably not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Right?
Quarterly, would probably be the most effective.
Yeah, but that's the other thing, like, our audit is so clean for the most part,
Right.
other than one thing that was not even, like, so to pay for something that we don't really, because the system is so well set up.
I think that's why I asked the question.
Yeah, no,
And some of it is just, Trish and I have already landed on this, that when there's a big transaction
Yeah.
or a new type of transaction, like every time we buy a property, it's a different situation than the last. So making sure we run that transaction by the accounting firm to make sure that it's going into books correctly, like it's going in there, but just make sure it's you know, where it needs to be so that we don't get to the end of the year and need to adjust it.
Yeah, so a quarterly one would be advisable, right? How do we implement it? If we, like, do we discuss it further, or do we take a vote on it, or do we
I
just?
think it's policy, like we
Okay.
could look at we'll look at the IDA policy, and we need to have a governance meeting very soon anyway, so let's do it then.
If I can just chime in as the one who has been managing or whatever I've been doing with these books, I would highly recommend that there be a second set of eyes on these accounts from the perspective of protecting the person who sits in my role. Because this whole scenario that came up actually, as we all know, it wasn't what it was portrayed to be. It made me feel very unsafe. And I would love to have whoever is sitting in this role have that ability to know that what they're doing is correct and in line. I think it would actually be of great benefit. That's just my 2 cents.
No, I think we all agree, Trish.
Okay.
Alright. Do we have, so should we take a vote on approving the audit, the draft? Anybody want to make a motion? Jerry make a motion? Or second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Take something interesting.
They're right,
Of course.
1% decrease in
That's awesome, yeah, very good.
Yeah, like 60,000. So,
yeah, I wrote down 1% decrease from the previous year for total.
Cheyenne, Jess has to leave at 9, so do we have stuff that we need to vote on before quorum?
For a minute, right?
We will. Okay, all right.
Alright, let's get through minutes and financials quick, then.
Okay.
Let's do minutes first.
We're being 5. 1, 2.
But we can sit just go.
Oh, you gotta
I don't
do
believe it now, but I
Okay.
take it back part.
it. Okay.
Yeah, if we get through minutes and financials, nothing else needs approval, I don't think.
Okay. So next we're talking about minutes from last July board meeting. Everybody get a chance to review. Motion to approve by Jerry, second by Mackenzie. All in favor? Aye. All right. Anybody get a chance to review the financials? I did. I'll make a motion to approve. Second by Jerry. Thanks for that clarification, Trish.
No worries. Also, I think I'm going to be signing out now that we've finished financials, and just wanted to let everyone know that tomorrow is my last day with Naturally Lewis. And I just wanted to take a moment to tell you guys of the IDA board what an awesome organization and how rad I think what everything that you're doing to help the community. I come from a place that doesn't have anything like this. So I just think what you're doing is great, and I hope you continue to keep doing it. And it's been a pleasure working with you all.
Same here, Trish. Thank you for so much of what you've done in simplifying and making it easier for the next person. It is really difficult to see and leave, but I understand. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for that acknowledgement. Bye, everyone.
The IDA report.
Yes. We're gonna have it in the shared drive, so hopefully you've had a chance to look at it a little bit. Highlights, I will say, we'll get into it a little bit more later, but Cheryl and I had an opportunity to attend the IDA Academy. I've been a couple times, but it's a really good thing for new people coming on board and be dealing with IDA specific things. Joanne, it would have been like -3 days from your start, or else we would have brought you to. But it's always very informative, good refresher, even if you've been around for a while. Lots of moving projects, needing incentives, nothing's moving super quickly, probably Glenfield Elementary, the apartments there will be the first application to hit our desk. I will be recommending, we kind of referenced it before, that we need a governance committee meeting. I think partially in part to the IDA Academy, we should probably consider putting something about housing in our new tab. Just to make it sure it's spelled out as crystal clear, and it's always kind of easy to do that when we've got a working project, so you can use that as your kind of getting big and refine from there. Any question on the report?
Who's buying, who made an offer to buy? They never still the bank.
We don't have an offer yet,
Oh.
but a community member is very, very interested.
But we have to put it open to the public.
Yeah, they're very interested, but we want to make sure we're following our distribution policy, so
So if we list, it's listed, right?
it's not.
It's not, so if we list it, does it have to be listed based on what value? Like, is it the assessed value or what we bought?
We can easily sell it for the appraised value of
Yeah.
what we bought it for.
Okay,
If we were to sell it for less than that, we would have to justify it with basically we're gonna create this many jobs or create this much economic impact. So, the person who is interested in buying it had actually offered, it was listed for 100,000 when the bank owned it. They offered 75,000 and got turned down, and then we ended up buying it for 50,000, so I think they're comfortable with what they offer.
alright.
Any other questions on the report before we move on? Getting into, I wanted to make the board aware that we did finally get feedback from the ABO on our 2024 CARES reporting, which was due the end of August 2024. Usually we hear back from them by December. I don't know if they delayed that, if they were doing the audit or what was going on, but we just received feedback. And I told them we're in the middle of doing our 2025 audit report and reporting. I'm not going to be able to get back to you until the end of August, especially considering all the moving parts. But I wanted to make you aware and make sure everybody had access to the feedback. I have not responded yet, I haven't even gone in to look, but this is typical. I'll share my responses, and then what they'll do is they'll open up that reporting again and put it in resubmit status, and we'll just either make the changes or some of these are just gonna be explainable. They ask the same question about the railroad every single year, so I think that that's the amount coming off.
I don't know what Paris stands
Paris is Public Authorities Reporting Information System. It's a platform from like 1990 that New York State has. And it's ridiculous. It's great, New York State, we love it. It's just where we have to, the IDA and LCPC both have to submit like
for. I understood the
board
purpose.
stuff, project stuff,
Yeah.
financials, everything in there.
Yeah.
It's not a place you want to go. Paris is not. Any questions on that? And like I said, I wanted to make it transparent. I have not dug into it yet. But I will provide my responses on that next month. All right.
Alright, items for discussion? Oh, do we need to do anything with Paris report? No, it's just for FYI, right, okay. The Comptroller audit corrective action plan?
Yeah, so Brittany and Joe were working pretty closely on this with Candace. Candace, is there anything you wanna tell us about it?
I mean, I think it kind of speaks for itself, obviously, the repayment situation that we're in is spelled out here. I think that's pretty fair. And once it's be changed, obviously it can, but it just shows how we're gonna change things. One of the main things is obviously the conflict of interest reporting that's gonna have to happen. I think that's on there too. We had already done our service fee correction, I think we went over that as the board. Yeah, I think a lot of this we had already gone over through changing up all the separate agreements. But not that that was on there, maybe not. For the conflicts.
Okay.
Yeah. Definitely. So that's just gonna be something that all the board members are gonna need to do. To dispose in the conflicts that they're gonna have, and that's gonna be done every year. And on file and all that stuff, but I mean, everything else we have already gone over as a board, for the changes that we're making to the staff services agreement. So it's not really anything new, just in a different form.
We submit this to the
No,
comptrollers, right? We have or we're about to.
I don't think we have yet.
We have.
So actually, we should probably approve this.
Yeah, I know that I emailed Joe, I would think it would be fine, I didn't know if he wanted any other changes.
So the highlighted part, right, board needs to determine whether any additional documentation reporting beyond is required from actually this up. I can't think of it.
I gotta think of something.
Right, the monthly bill that we get is what we, like. I thought about it for a while, I'm like, what more could we get from them? Like, anything other than the financials.
I got ahead, but I know maybe not for this board, our board is going to ask for more detail. We got the summary last month that kind of said like this many projects for research, blah, 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 blah. There were the time parameters involved,
Okay,
so there was just maybe a little more clarification on that, people weren't sure if it was just a month, if it was a year. Like that, so I don't know if we can ask for more information, maybe just more
format.
Yeah, formatted or clarified a little bit, because
That's
there were
fair.
some questions on
Yeah,
that,
well, that makes sense, okay.
but I know that's the one probably come up.
Well, once you guys come up with the recommendations, we can implement that, yeah, okay. So, but at this point, can we take a vote to submit this to the comptroller's office? Do we wish to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Second, Jerry, all in favor? Aye. Shane, can we wait till what we get from Jessen or tomorrow to see if we wish to put that last line in there, anything at all, or no? Would that even not,
We should maybe, that modify the.
That's under a different agreement.
okay,
So we
okay,
have
so it's not-
a different agreement that we have for staff services.
got it, okay, so it doesn't impact the audit per se,
No,
okay,
that would be an underlying agreement that we should probably also submit to them, showing that we've already
understood.
taken the steps to make those changes. Okay.
Check signers. This is for IDA, correct?
This is for IDA.
So currently it's Joanne, Joe, myself. Right? Yeah.
I don't think we've approved Joanne.
Well, we have to- Okay, yeah, okay. Is that just a simple motion, right? Our motion to have Joanne be the sign on the checks, Jerry second. That does require.
It's been, so I bet the AI.
Oh, this is the note taking thing, right?
Yeah.
It still requires 2 people, correct?
Anything over 5,000.
It requires 2 people, okay, and that stays, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Alright. We just wanted to show you guys the marketing for the Harrisville Bank. It's not gonna be like this crazy intensive RFP process. We've got a sell sheet here that we'll put out. We've got some window claims. And this was kind of inspired by, we were at the Brownfield Developers Conference in Herkimer. They're downtown, I don't know if you've been down, but they have a ton of vacant buildings and they got a grant, or they're in the process of doing a grant program. And they put up these window claims and a lot of the vacant building windows, like this is our vision for this window, so one's like restaurant and has this on it. Is this the one, Kaylee, that you designed kind of so that it could? This is not window.
Yeah, go to the next one.
Yeah,
And
she
then do that.
designed this so that we can use it in the next building that we
Yeah.
That's
have.
the-
But just because every time I'm there, which isn't super often, somebody stops in and, hey, I've been taking care of the flower boxes, are you okay with that? Can give them a little bit of information, plus we want everybody to know that we're selling it. Be able to submit some information if you want. We're also making the the proposal pretty straightforward, but they're able to do it on the website, we're still building that out, but,
Is this a paper sheet or a board?
this is a window plane, the other one,
This would be like the paper,
Like how
the
big?
conversation, just, this one would just be like a. It's
Okay.
one pager,
Okay.
the other one, I believe it's 24 by 36, so it would fit in the door of this
Okay, got it,
building.
perfect.
But like if it were in our office, it would go in those windows out front, that are like right on the first floor.
so we'll get those up,
You know, the school on the social media.
Yeah.
All that.
yeah. We'll make it very available, and, you know, who knows, somebody who hasn't known about it. Maybe it'll come out of the woodwork.
Quick question while we're on vacant buildings, with the co-op moving, what's happening with that property?
So somebody's purchased the whole forest staff or is in the process already. I'm not sure timeline where they're at on the store.
The beginning.
It's at the beginning, yeah, so the feed mill plant's staying there, and some of the storage they want to retain. So the only thing really left is the red storefront.
Yep.
And they're not ready to sell that yet.
Okay.
Where's it going?
Basis hardware.
They've already created a short list of words.
There are something that's.
Fine, never looks. Little town. There's no wall.
Oh, no, he's on there.
No, I don't really go on there. Unless you're rage baiting.
Alright, General Martin Apartments, they've been in conversations, they had a funding gap, for their project because prices have just gone through the roof on construction, or they have been going through the roof for a while now. They got an additional $1 million grant, but then the way HCR, this Homes and Community of Renewal, through New York State Works, is once they were awarded that and anything else they got, HCR decreased their award by half of that. So they're fighting their way through that. There's also conversations with the county on purchase price of the building, which I know. That goes way back to when we marketed the property. Is it Naturally Lewis? I forget which umbrella we were at under the time. We marketed the property for the county. Those funds, by understanding, we're gonna go back into the vacant property revitalization program, that was never written into a contract, so that's been kind of up in the air. But the county's also had a bunch of holding costs with holding this building for a couple of years. So there's conversations with the county on the purchase price, I think still they were researching a municipal grant with the town of Harris. Yes, that would basically cut the IDA out of getting any kind of administration fee. I called them on that, I was like, we've done a bunch of work on this and we're gonna end up getting nothing in return. We're not looking to like, you know, have a retirement or anything, but the administrative time that we put into that, as well as just wanting to feed our vacant property revitalization programs. So I think they're back to the table, especially because municipal pilots can't go nearly as long as what they're looking for. So I said, send me your pro forma, like I can prove out that a 30-year pilot is gonna offset the administration. So let's just talk about it. And so we're back there. I think they will move forward and they're researching some other things to close that gap. And the timeline's pretty quick, they're gonna break ground this fall, so that would be amazing. That's just an update. We also have an update on the installment sale of the refrigerated van for Black River Valley Naturals. We reached out, yeah, you've got the email. We reached out to our insurance, and said, you know, what do we need to do to cover ourselves and what would the cost be? And they recommended the insurance would stay under, the insurance would stay under the BRVM, but they would need to list us as additional insured. So there would be no cost to the IDA, so I shot that over to James and said, you know, we would like to see you carry a policy that is adequate enough with us as additionally insured. And he said he's actually holding on that because of the split vote. There wasn't, he didn't feel it was, really, something the board was really super excited about, and he was just a little bit uncomfortable, so he's holding on that purchase for now.
Surprises me. We'd still approved it, right, because of majority vote,
Yeah.
but then why would you back away? Is it the cost of the insurance, which I would imagine as a business, no?
I
You
know,
want unanimous approval for it,
I know,
that makes no sense to me. But whatever,
so that's where we are, I just wanted to follow up.
but this is good information for next time something like this comes up, but yeah, he's not out at this point, so.
Yeah, next to, I didn't print them. I didn't print these for you guys, but if you could submit them.
Are they
Because-
able to be signed electronically? These documents? No?
No.
Well, you wanna, what, signature? Okay,
If we just print them off and drop them in the mail or drop them off.
Yeah, can you send a reminder email with those two items
Mm-hmm.
to the full board? We forgot, those are usually distributed and signed at our annual meeting, which was last month.
Yeah.
Anyway, we missed it because of other discussions that were going on, but we need to sign our annual acknowledgement of fiduciary duty, which includes some conflict of interest stuff, as well as our annual board of directors evaluation. Those are both due to the authority's budget office. Something I wanted to kind of circle back around on because Joanne and I attended that part of the session at IDA Academy was the ABO training that you guys all had to go through when you joined the board, and they recommend that board members and staff take that every 3 years. So I went back and looked, and everybody is due to do it again. And I think it's very timely considering some statements that have been made at the table of unmitigated conflicts of interest. So I think we need to make sure that we understand the role as board members and staff, and are able to sign those with clear conscience. So we will follow up with an email, collect those if it's good with that.
Yeah.
The ABO has that training via webinar. You'll see down in the coming up section. They are booked out through August right now, so when I get a date for September, I'll send it around to everybody and get those updated, please. That's all I have for the regular agenda.
anything else from anybody? Before we go into executive sessions? Make a motion to enter executive session. Jerry? Or, is the recording off?
Jerry,
Okay, we're out of executive session. Motion to come out was made by Darlene, seconded by myself. All in favor? Were ayes. We'd like to, that's the end of the meeting. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll make a motion. Darlene seconds, meeting ends. Thanks, everybody who's online.